Well, we're making some pretty good progress on the car. So fingers crossed, in the next little while it should be finished. Got a few new pieces, which I'm pretty excited about. I've got some rear view mirrors. I'll put links of all these pieces I purchased. You can find them all on eBay though. Some nice little chrome rear view mirrors here. Oops. I think they look pretty cool. That does spin around, so that's pretty much how they look there. They just are a little bit short of the original bolts on the car. So if I line these up, I don't know if you can see it there. Okay. The right hand one is lined up, the left hand one is just a little bit off. So I'm gonna have to do something about that. I will, I might just need to re-drill a new hole here, which I think that's exactly what's gonna happen. On the other side of this though, there is a bolt welded to the sheet metal, so I might have to remove that to be able to move over just like 2 or 3 mil. The other option is to drill out the actual chrome piece here, but I think that'd actually be an uglier fix, because it's literally right out to the end. So I think I'll just re-drill a hole there. Regardless, I think they're going to work pretty well. I kind of like the look of them too, and with that little white rim around them. The car's white, little white rim. I think it'll fit. I think it'll suit. So they have to go on. Put them back. Some more cool little chrome pieces is the antenna. I like the shape of this down here. That little kind of bullet style chrome head on it's really, really sweet. Oops, again, the cable goes through that main hole there, and then there will be one screw utilizing the original hole at the bottom, and then the top one there, I might have to actually fill that and do something there, because it's actually going to be exposed, that little hole above it. So I'll get around to working that one out. Up here there's a little holder which just slides up and down, but it does, it's going to line up really well. So that's a pretty sweet little piece. It extends triple the length of this actually, but just for aesthetics, I think it's going to look really sweet and suit the car. I don't even have a radio yet, so this is just going to be installed with the cable hidden underneath the dash somewhere for when I finally get around to putting a radio in it. Some number plate lights. There you go, you guessed it. Down, they go up into the actual, I don't know if I'm going to get this here, into there and there. Nice and simple. You're never going to see them. You're never going to see them from there anyway, but they're going to be hidden. When you install them, make sure that globe is only showing to the inside, so they're going to go up there, bolt in there and light up your number plate for you out of sight. So they have to get installed. It's very simple. There's one wire here, and behind this dash I do have the reverse wire, the number plate wires there, so I'm just going to put them back here. They can live there until I'm ready. The fender markers. The picture on eBay, I thought these were going to be longer, and they're not. They're actually quite short, and I'm happy about that. I was struggling to find some side markers, and I thought they were way too big, but these are actually pretty small, which is great. I didn't want massive big orange things sticking out the side. But I will have to re-drill some new holes and open this up a little bit, which is, it's no biggie, and they will fit in there like so. that'd be sweet. So a little tiny rubber gasket comes with them as well. So it makes it look neat when it's all finished. So there's a few little edits I have to do to the actual bodywork of the car to get these pieces on. Again, I'm not too fussed. This whole car is going to have to get buffed again regardless. And there's a couple of spots on here that need to be touched up anyway. Like the edges of the doors where I've chipped some paint. There's a little crack right there where I've leant against this somehow and it's actually cracked the paint through there. That's a bit of a bummer. I've scratched here with something when I was installing the windscreen. All this is just surface grind. That'll just buff out, no problem. I hope the roof buffs out well. I put my roof liner up here. It was sitting here for a while and it looks like the dye from the roof liner vinyl was like soaked into the paint or something. It's really odd. So that's going to get buffed out. Walking past here with bits of metal. I think this was done by my exhaust pipe. Little chip there. Before I got this motorbike, I had the exact same one, but a black one. And my side mirrors were a bit lower and they kept chipping that paint when I'd park it here. So that's a bit of a pain in the butt. So that's to be touched up. What I'm getting at is there's going to be a few little touch-ups of paint on this anyway. So drilling into the side, fixing that up and installing the side markers is no biggie. On top of that, I have to respray the whole bonnet regardless and put the GT stripes back on it. Now that's the biggest pain in the butt. I still have to spray these black and get them on the car. This stuff's pretty cool. It is pinch weld with the extra rubber gasket or sealer on top. And this is for the boot. They don't sell the full connected piece that I know of. So this is the next best thing. It basically pinch welds around the side of the whole boot. And it goes right onto the lip there. Okay, so right there it just pinch welds on and then it sits about, you know, maybe 20 mil up. And as the boot comes down, it compresses against that rail. It's exactly what's on here already, really, except this is, I have look how old this is. All the innards is falling out, but it's pretty much the same stuff. So that's going to get replaced. Well, I might start doing something. So this is a pretty simple install. It's pretty self-explanatory, really. The pinch weld literally just grabs on to the edge. You just push it on into place, and the rubbers and the steel just grab on. That's on pretty goodly, and it's just a matter of running it all the way around the edges, up around, and then when I get to about here again, I ordered more than enough. Again, not having enough sucks, so I ordered more than I needed. I'll just go a little bit longer than what I need and then kind of bump them back a little bit just to make sure they squish into place really nicely. And that should be all the sealing I need. If there is a gap in here at the end of the day, I could do some surgery and just kind of adhese them together with some black Sikaflex. But we'll see how we go with the initial seal. I'll come back once that's all done. Alright, so that took about 5 minutes, if that, to get the new rubber all the way around the seal there. I got the cut pretty much bang on. I left this about 5 mil longer, and then I lifted that one up, butted this one back and that one back. And so now they want to like push against each other, so that's really good. I shouldn't get a gap in there. Last thing for me to do is literally just go around and firmly just tap down all of the pinch weld to make sure that it all has bitten in to that lip. And And that's literally it. I'll quickly do that and then we'll give it a quick test shut. When I did my very first celica with this same style stuff, I did notice the hatch was difficult to close. I don't know if this is exactly the same rubber I used on that one, but it did soften up after a while. And it did shut nice and easy, given like a month or two of the car actually being closed. So we'll see if we get the same kind of pressures against here. Given it's a brand new piece, I might have to kind of, put a bit more pressure on the rear hatch to shut it. But I can't now anyway, because I don't even have a lock yet. So that's something I'm still looking for. If anyone has a spare mechanism through here, even if you don't have the lock piece, all I really want is that mechanism in here that locks on and grabs onto that pin. I'm actually thinking about doing a delete on the lock and actually filling that up so it's purely flush. And the only way you should be able to open this boot will be through like a pull cable in the near the passenger door there, near the seat. So if anyone's got that piece that goes in the rear hatch, it'd be greatly appreciated if they can sell it to me. That'd be sweet. Anyway, let's punch this down and then give it a test shut. Okay, that's all been patted down. Now let's give this a go. Through here. I'm just going to let this go and see what happens. Pretty good. Now that's sitting solely on the rubbers, which is pretty good. If I squish in here, I can actually feel that compression of this bead going down and up. And I can feel that quite easily through that boot, so I'm pretty sure it's sealing. I don't have enough. From down here, I can't push that down. Oh, so close for me just to show you guys, but I'm not going to be able to from here. You see the boot's still up a bit. So if I push that down, yes, you can hear that just kind of pop shut. It's awesome. On this side, oh, that's great. You can even hear the air kind of rush out of there. Sweet. And that is the rear hatch rubber installed. I don't think there's a need to run a bead of celastic around the whole rubber. I don't think there's a need for it. Some people said that you probably should. I just don't know if I need to or not. The seal was, the rubber lip was pretty good. The seal's new and soft and grabs well, so if I get leaks, which I shouldn't, but if I do, maybe I will, but I think that's good for now. So I'm just having another look at these rear view mirrors, and this is the original mounting points that were on these. And at that location, it just looks odd. I think the mirror's too far back on the car. And I think the reason for that is the arm on this rear view mirror pushes the actual mirror backwards, like the length from my pinky finger to my thumb is much longer than the original one. I think the position of the actual mirror on the original would have been more about here. So that bracket would have come directly out, not out this way like this one does. So what I think I'm going to do is, because that just looks real odd in that position, I'm going to bring this all the way forward, and that looks a lot better. I know you can't really tell just from me holding the camera like this, but that just looks like where the mirror should be. I don't want it too high up, just because the panel starts to curve there. But I reckon right about there is on the money. So I think I'm going to do that. Given I had to drill into here anyway, I may as well just flatten them out, put some filler in there or whatever, and just retouch up that paint. but I'm pretty sure that's where these guys are going to live. They look a lot better there, so decision's been made. That's where they're going. And there we have it. One rear view mirror on the car. Super chromey. Oh, my video was freaking zoomed in. So yeah, it's on. I now can see behind me. So that's pretty sweet. See everyone back there. I'm kind of happy they're slightly larger mirrors too, because I was a bit worried about having to buy the small ones. You can't see anything out of them. And I will be putting right here one of those little round rear view mirrors, the blind spot mirrors, just because they're awesome and they've saved me a million times. So that is where that lives. It's in a good spot, I think. So much better than actually keeping it all the way down here. It's now pretty much where a mirror belongs as opposed to halfway down the door. So that's pretty sweet. I'm gonna get the other one in. And yeah, happy days. Yeah, it now has ears. Very good. Ugh. Ugh. God damn it. Okay. She's on. Rearview mirror 1, rearview mirror 2. And unlike the old set I had, they actually line up really well. Like I never used to be able to actually see anything in the rear view out of the old mirror I had in the first celica I did, and it was really annoying because I had to turn my head extra rotation every time. So that's really cool. Let's do whatever's next. Well, next was the antenna. And geez, wasn't that the easiest install in history? A screw in there, a screw in there, and you're done. You just thread the little cable through there and it falls out just behind the parcel tray, the dash really easily. So that can just live there until I get a radio. But that's in. Oops. And that is a big whopping long aerial. I don't think I'm going to use it much because mainly, I listen to my own music and stuff. Regardless, it's there. It's supposed to be on the car. It looks pretty mad on there, so it's staying. Yeah, it's all coming together. Check these hinges out. They are pretty awesome. And when I get the right one, they fit down there. But my light bucket's in the way, so I have to unbolt that to get it into place. I got these off eBay. On eBay, the shop name is Fox Fab Blasters. There you go. I think these are made by, pretty sure they're made by Nate Gold on the official First Gen Celica page on Facebook. But I'll put a link in the description on eBay of where I bought these. This is just the carbon steel version. I think he does a few different finishes, but this is perfectly fine for what I need. They seem like they're extremely strong. They're built very well, and the little tiny bearinged bolts that go into them are super smooth. So I'm looking forward to have them on the car. So that's the job for today. We'll get to doing that. Also, another job is, just got another inline fuel filter, an alloy one or steel one or whatever it is, and that's going to go underneath the car, just out the rear of the fuel tank. I've got some space under there. And the reason for that is this was a temporary kind of fuel filter job. It was a plastic one that's in line and it's up in the engine bay, which is not very smart. So pretty much you've got a plastic oil filter that is kind of rubbing against everything. And then you have two boiling hot turbos right beside the brittle fuel filter. And if anything were to go wrong, I could imagine that would be quite a big problem. So that's going to get deleted. And I'll join these two lines back together a bit neater, and then the new oil filter, the new petrol filter will go down underneath the back of the car. So I get on to doing that today as well. I'm still having issues with the relays. I put a little tiny relay box down there that I got off, again, eBay, and they actually really killer little boxes. They hold 5 relays. And yeah, they're kind of small enough to get out of the way. They hold 5 relays and a few fuses, but that's where that's going to live, because I wanted to keep the relays kind of water free, and this will do a good job of that. But the problem I'm having still, I've been fighting with it for a while, is the relay is not turning on when the temp sensor here, the new one I installed, or the original one, when the temperature reaches, its 98 degree mark, which is where the fans turn on, it doesn't turn on, and the temperature's getting up to like 110 degrees. And then the only way that will turn on is if I give it a little tap. And that's with every single one of my relays. I've got like 6 relays here. So I don't know if I've just been really unlucky with relays, or if there's something going on with the temperature sending units. So I got to work that out, but I'm going to leave that for another time. But if you guys have any tips for me, I'm using the top temp sensor on the 1GGTE, which reads temperature off the engine perfectly, so I'm getting a good reading off that on the dash. That also doesn't switch this on properly. I then bought a new one down here because I didn't want to run the automatic fans and the temperature gauge off one sensor, so I installed a new one here. This one, when I turn the car on, the temperature only reads about half of what the temperature really is. So this one will read like 50 degrees, and this one will read 100 degrees Celsius, mind you. So I got to work that out. I'm thinking about just buying some good quality relays, and possibly even changing the temp sensor in the actual 1GGTE engine block itself. I don't exactly know what's going on here, so that's just a little niggling issue that's a bit of a pain in the butt. Apart from that, there's really no other niggling issues with the engine, apart from when I first start the car and it's cold, it revs up very high. It revs up high, then it drops, and it revs up high, then it drops. It does that for about a minute, or maybe, about a minute or 45 seconds. And I think it might have something to do with the idle control valve, which allows air to get bypassed just during the initial run-up while the engine's warming up. That needs to be rotated. One of my mates pointed that out to me, but I can't actually rotate that because this is in the way. That has to be unbolted to do so, so I haven't had time to figure that out. I have to put another relay box down there. I'm blabbling on. I'm going to get these sprayed up, get these kind of sanded down again. They're going to go a nice gloss black. And probably the main thing I want to get done today is the windshield chrome trim clips. I got these ordered from the Toyota specialists at Burley. Again, I'll put a link down to his website. I was going to get them off eBay, but I thought I'd just grab them locally. So 11 months ago I ordered these. They arrived a week later, and I never picked them up for 11 months. I felt kind of bad about it, but I went and spoke to him, and he still had them sitting around, and I said, "Oh, cheers, man. Legend." Things just got away on me, you know. I've had a lot going on. But anyways, we're going to get these in today. They've got these little tiny center clips, which should pop into that little tiny bolt head thing popping out of the window frame. There's 21 of these that need to go on, and then I've not done this before, and then I need to put my chrome pieces onto those clips somehow, so I'll work that out as well. I'm also going to be spraying those chrome pieces gloss black because the chrome quality is very, very lacking on them. Yeah, so they need to get straightened out and sorted. Well, let's start. I don't know what I'm going to do first. We'll find out in just a second. Alright, first job, the hinges. The hood is not ready to go on yet. That has to be resprayed. I might have to run down to the shop today to try and find some more acrylic black. That was a pain in the butt, but I'm going to put these in place regardless. So I just have to undo that top bolt there, and then this here actually stays in place. Okay, this needs to be sprayed black as well before I do anything, because if I install this over the top, I'm just going to have to take it off. So spray this black, which means undoing all my bolts that hold it all together. Take that bolt off, install hood hinges, reinstall everything. Let's start. Alright, I'm going to paint this black. I'll be back. So while I've got the radiator upper support beam drying, I thought, since I've already got the strip disc and paint and all this kind of stuff, I'm going to start cleaning up these chrome trims. This is the lower window. I'm going to move. This is for the front bonnet, kind of like the nose chrome trim, so I'm just going to leave that up there. That's stained chrome, by the way. So I'm just going to give these a quick strip back. There's a couple of crappy gunge bits all over them, plus the strip disc will give me a good surface for the paint to grab to. I just got to clean up the insides of the rails for the clips to hold on, which I still have to work out. Straighten up a couple little tiny edges, and then give them some black. All right, let's do this. All right, so that has been sanded, buffed, and also methoded, so there's no gungy bits. Now again, a coat of this, and that'll be the bottom piece done. Alright, this is odd. I just went to put that chrome piece outside in the sun and I decided not to because the radiator support panel, I sprayed this and it dries gloss black, it says. But when I left it in the sun that's been in the sun for a good 30 minutes and it's quite hot, it's actually gone matte. So I think I'm going to dry these, not in direct sunlight, underneath where it didn't have sunlight. It's gloss, and that's actually tack dry, that's touch dry. But on top, it's matte, so that's interesting. I'm just going to leave it matte as well. I'm not going to respray this piece. Alright, while they dry safely in the back of the car out of direct sunlight, I'm going to get back to reinstalling the bonnet hinges. Yeah. Yeah, just quickly, you'll know which way goes which because it's not that hard to figure out. There's a fold in the metal here which thickens up this lower right side, and that's to compensate for the dip in the sheet metal on the framework of the car. Alrighty, so I haven't tightened this one up because I swear there's something else that has to go in between that to make the space up. If not, I'll just make a spacer because this is all over the place, this car. But regardless, bonnet hinge is in place. It still needs to be totally adjusted. I've just kind of dropped it in place because the bonnet's not ready to go on yet. But at least they're where they belong. There's plenty of adjustment by the looks of it. You can see those little slots he's left there. Look like they're a good 15 mil or 20 mil of adjustment for the height. For the height of the bonnet to go up and down, which is really cool. So I'm just going to kind of leave that. I'm going to leave that semi-taut there and in place. I'll do the other one, and then we'll get back to the trims. But just quickly again. Really sweet. Super strong, super solid. Looking forward to having the bonnet on, so these are tops. And success. Bonnet hinges installed. Again, I still have to do the top bolts up because I think something else goes in the place, but I'll work that out later. I might just need to put some washers in there to take up that gap if whatever the original thing goes in there I don't have, which I don't think I have it. So I'm pretty assured I'm going to have to make a spacer to go in there. Regardless, hinges are killing it. So yeah, happy with my purchase. Now the fun part, something I've not done before, which is nearly everything I do. These little suckers sit this way, okay. So that little bottom tab that goes into that little knuckle like so. And pretty much what we need to do is push that down into that little nut that's sticking out the side of the sill, and that's just going to require a little tap These do have, I wonder if I can get this, on the edges, oh no, not as much as I thought. Okay, that's all right, I'll take that back. We're just gonna have to get a old crappy flathead screwdriver and just kind of tap them into position until they just clip into place. And there's 21 of these that need to go around the whole windowsill to hold all these clips on. Alright, so I'm going to use this file. I'm going to use the butt end of the file and put it nice and flush over the top, and just give it a tap on the end with a hammer, and should be able to pop that into place without slipping and scratching the paint. Would be ideal. I might actually hold it this way. Alright, let's do this with two hands. And there you have it. That went in quite easy. Now it's just a matter of lining that up flush again. Awesome. Now while I've got you down there, the back end of the chrome strip is going to press in between this panel and the paint, and it's going to go right in that gap right there. And on this chrome piece there's a little bit of bent metal that kind of lips over the edge of the chrome. That is what actually clips it on. So the chrome piece is going to be pressured against the body of the car and the clip, and this clip kind of acts like a spring. You see how that's moving there? So when I push the chrome strip in, this will pop up, it'll grab over the latch of the chrome trim, and it'll hold it in place. So that's how it should work. We'll see how I go. Got to do the rest of them now. Alrighty, well that wasn't too painful. All the little tiny clips are now in place and ready for the trim. So it should look something like that when they're finished. Fingers crossed I can get the trim on easily enough too. I'll just go see how dry it is. Alright, I can feel it's just a tad sticky still. Given I'm going to have to be putting a lot of pressure on these to clip them into place, I'm going to put these pieces on tomorrow. So I don't want to put stupid ass fingerprints all through that. Once the paint's dry, like this, it's the same exact stuff I've used on these window trims. You can do whatever you want with it, and it's actually really strong. So that's going to wait. Next is... Alright, so that is now black. This paint is just so nice. So that is pretty much done. I will have to touch up just the very edges here, because right now there's a spring that holds this little plate together, this little hinge, and when it's on the car it will be open up, and when it's exposed, I can't move it now because it's wet. When it's exposed I'll be able to see the bit of metal that never got black paint on it. So when it is on the car, I'll have to just kind of mask around it and touch that up. But for the most part, they're looking sick. I was a bit hesitant about making these black, but if they're a nice smooth gloss black like this, I'm definitely not too upset. I didn't want to spray up underneath the internals of them, just because there's a lot of little moving parts and stuff, and I don't want to clog it all up with paint, so I've left that silver and I'm okay with that. Alright, so it is now the afternoon. The chrome strips are now black and they have set enough for me to start installing them onto the window thingies. Done a few things while I've waited, so I didn't waste too much time. I've routed the heater hoses in through the firewall and attached them to my heater core thingamabob here. The last thing that needs to be done with this, and that's all working now, so that valve is controlled by this pulley, which opens and closes the water flow to the heater core, which gives me heat. The last thing I need to do with that is actually vent from the the outlet up top to the actual demister vents in the top of the dash. So that'll get done when I get around to it. So that's sorted. We already did the bonnet mounts. Oh yeah, I deleted the plastic fuel filter and I've installed it up under there, which was a very simple, quick install. Now I'm going to start putting these onto that. Alright, now on close observation, I'm pretty sure the bottom one goes on first, and then the two sides go next, and then finally the two top pieces, the last piece being either left or right depending on what overlay is in the center. So the bottom one here, this edge is going to be underneath this side panel, so I'm going to start by clipping in this sucker. Like I said before, I've never done this before, and I'll show you the clips that I'm kind of talking about that they need to go onto. So there's the edge where my oh yeah, great, let's just focus. Okay, there's the edge where my thumb is. That is the edge that needs to clip and push against bodywork. So it's just going to be a matter of kind of gently forcing this down on the points where the pins are. I've got to try and remember where they are as well, without bending or munting up the trim piece. And also, to get it relatively centered is going to be very important as well. So, I'm going to put this down and see if I can get this in. Alright, see if I can just show you this. So in under there, there's the clip, the bottom edge of it, you can see it's going in between the clip and the bodywork. Just got to remember exactly where that is. Get a little bit of cushioning and just with my wrist, just clip it in, and there she clips. So I'm going from center to edge, left, right, left, right, left, right, so that I don't bend anything up. And hopefully I've done a good job of guesstimating the edges here for the length. So that one there. Didn't quite clip that time. Clip that time, just to wipe off to get dust and stuff. Now, before I do the edges, the last two on the edge, I am going to get the side pieces and triple check that I've got it in the right spot. That one there is left side. This one here is the right side, so we'll take the left first. They've come up really good and they've stayed glossy. There must be something weird with the sunlight heating up the paint and the metal, because you know that's chalk and cheese. I'll remember that. All right, so this edge will go over the top like so, and kind of just somehow sit in there. Hopefully the clips will keep it where it needs to be. I'm pretty sure I can just put this final clip in and then get that one installed, so let's do that. This one's not wanting to go in place. I don't know if you can see, probably not. Yeah, it's just bent a little bit, probably on the removal of these. So I got to just gently tap that back into place to give it a lip to hold on to. All right, so far, so good. We've got a really nice flush seal along here, which I'm quite surprised with. That there is also looking really good, and it kind of flushes up really well against the rubber, and surprisingly sitting really flush against the paint, so I'm happy there's not a massive gap. On the first Ra28 I had, the gaps on these chromes were massive. You could like almost put your finger through some of them, so I'm pretty happy the way this one's turning out. I guess the chromes are just in a bit better condition than the last ones. We'll continue with the top. Okay, so given the top pieces, this bit here will sit on top of that bit. So this piece is going to get installed first, and that's on the passenger side of the vehicle. And again, before I do the final clip, I'm just going to do a quick test fit of this and make sure that the clip doesn't need to be undone before this is installed, because I don't want to be taking them back off again. And that's it. We're in. I'm really happy with that. I think it looks absolutely awesome. Just a few little pieces that I think, oh no, that doesn't need to, no, that's fine. It's all good. Oh, that's really, really neat. That is really cool. So, let's see if we can get some close-ups of stuff here. So that sits on top, and that's gone in really flush against, it sits really well against the new rubber that I got off the eBays. And it sits really nice against the paintwork here. I did put some little scratches in there, so it's a bit annoying. But, oh geez, come on. I've been scratching this car ever since I sprayed it. I probably should have sprayed the car closer to the end after most of the work had been done, but oh well. So that's really cool. That's got a really nice flush join all along the front. The corners have gone in really well. The sides are in. I'm surprised it was actually as easy as it was. I thought they were actually a lot more difficult than this. But I think it looks nice in black too. There's a little bit of a gap in here where water may get in. I'm hoping that the rubber seal does a really good job of keeping water out. I mean, at the very worst, I could run a bead of Sikaflex in there, but I kind of don't want to. I don't know yet, we'll see. I'd rather leave it the way it is, but that looks sick. I'm pretty happy with that. So anyways, if that's helped you out at all, if you're gonna do this, I'll put the link in the description for the clips where I bought them. the chrome trims I can't because they're kind of rare. So that almost does it for today. I did also spray the wiper blades, and I think they look spectacular, which is great. I can't install them on the card yet because I don't have the actual rubber blades. If I put them on now and I accidentally turn the windscreen wipers on, I'm going to scratch my glass. So they can just sit here and chill out. I also kind of reconditioned the bonnet stay a little bit, so that's looking a little bit neater than what it was. It was some kind of weird ass metallic blue. So when the bonnet goes on, the bonnet stay will also be installed. Tomorrow I got to do the rear number plate lights. I'll try and sort those out. I might go to Super Cheap and get a couple of things like the wiper blades. In here, geez, I need to buy a new steering wheel. So that should be fun. I've got some ideas. I don't want anything that looks too racy or I don't want it to look like a too much of a standard aftermarket wheel. I want the the centers, how they're all, you can see the steel in the center of the wheels. I want that to be covered up with a nice panel so it kind of looks a little bit more, I don't know, stock, I guess, or modern. Like, I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'll show you when I find the right wheel. Heater thingy's done. The seats are actually off to get trimmed, finally. Hopefully I'll put a video up of them. They should be sweet when they're done. Yep. That'll do me. See you in the next one.